truth. Keeping it real, keeping it orange and blue. Yeah, talk that. Orange and light. Party. Orange and light. Yeah. Project. Ryan and Kevin, they're spitting the truth. Keeping it real, keeping it orange and blue. Talking recruit. Who's next in line? Line our pride. It's about that time. Orange and blue. Yeah, that's how we do. Post-game vibes, breaking it through. Ryan and Kevin, the crew that you knew. Keeping it fresh, keeping it orange and blue. From the court to the field, every play, every step. Debating the cause where the game is at. Who's rising, who's falling, who's making the cut. Line 9 for life, never stuck in the rut. Okay, recruiting buzzer got the inside line. Post-game chatter, they're always on time. Breaking it down, they're the voices you trust. Orange and blue, yeah, they repping for us. Orange and blue, yeah, that's how we do. Post-game vibes, breaking it through. Ryan and Kevin, the crew that you knew. Keeping it fresh, keeping it orange and blue, yeah. So tune in, lean back, let the wisdom flow. Ryan and Kevin with the knowledge they throw. Line 9 Nation, this one's for you. Forever proud, keeping it orange and blue, yeah. Orange and blue, orange and blue, yeah. Orange and blue, orange and blue, yeah.
Never gets old. Never gets old. Welcome to another episode, Keeping It Orange and Blue. Ryan Schroet, Kevin Ducey, off of a beautiful senior night victory in Champaign that Kevin was able to attend. So something he'll never forget. I'm glad he got to go. I'm so upset that I couldn't go. But not many people were able to, as you saw the stand. So, Kev, we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about possible bowl for the Illini team. We'll give our champagne toasts for the game. Yeah, definitely. The season just as a whole, and then we'll preview hoops, Tennessee from Nashville on Saturday. So we'll start here, Kev. Your experience Saturday. Give us a little scoop of how that looked and how that went.
Well, let me just tell you, the drive from Tolono with my buddy Lindy, really appreciate him coming and scoop me and pick me up, was treacherous. It was tough getting there. So when you got there, and obviously you could park wherever you wanted, and obviously they shut down half the stadium, and we were minimal capacity, of course. But the fans, we brought it. We made a significant amount of noise. For the few fans that were there, the fans were really, obviously you had probably the most diehards there for sure, right? It was pretty cool. Got to see Torrey Cox Sr., talk to him a little bit. I guess Taiwan's progressing really well, so that's good news there. Thankful shout out to my brother Adam Kirby for hooking me up with the Colonnades tickets. So that made it nice. I was able to go warm up in between, in between like stoppage of play and timeouts. But no, it was a good win. It was the first snow game. I didn't know it was the first snow game since '93. I was at that one as well. Ripped the shirt off. It was a little younger man, a little more fit. Made the Lou Tepper show on that one, the Ty Douthard screen game. But man, it was an experience. It was really cool after the game. We saw pictures, saw the videos of the seniors going and all the players going and celebrating on the snow pile and getting the hats, getting a deserved win. It was really interesting game, from the pure game perspective. Is like I thought the offense played really well in the first half, and I thought the defense wasn't so hot in the first half. And then it flipped in the second half. I thought the offense really struggled and the defense was really good. And that could be conditions, right? It was wetter in the second half. No snow, but we had the misty rain. So I think ball handling became very difficult. But just a great job. Here we finished the third time in 4 years with 8 wins. And, when we hired Bret Bielema, a lot of people were like, hey, what are our expectations of where this program can be and what do we want to be? And everybody said, well, can we be like, first, can we get to like what Minnesota's at? And then can we get to maybe where Iowa or Wisconsin is? And you look at and where are those teams? Those teams are like 8-win teams consistently. That's where we're at now, 3 times in 4 years. Had the one hiccup, obviously, in 23, but this is a program, people how long is it going to take to build a program? Well, 5 years. In the Bret Bielema tenure, we average over 7 wins a season. And that's a really nice place to be. 36 wins in 5 years, chance to win a bowl game. We're going to a bowl game again. Most likely somewhere
and
warm.
a nice bowl game too.
Yeah, most likely somewhere warm on Wednesday, December 31st on New Year's Eve. So it's just it was a really good feeling for that team to get a win. But I'll also tell you this, man, there was some sadness leaving the stadium and thinking like, man, that's the last time probably going to see Luke Altmaier and Gabe Ackes playing in a Illini uniform. Most certainly the last time I'll see them play at Memorial Stadium. Last time probably I'll see any of the seniors play. Doubt I'll make a bowl game this year. So it was just there was a little bit of sadness, and I'm just very thankful for what the seniors did for this program, especially the guys who might have been committed to Lovey and stuck around, the Kreutzes of the world and the Rosiaks and Miles Scott, and what a game for him. And just like the fifth-year guys especially, it was huge. So it was nice.
Yeah. I think the way they won the game too is, it's so typical of this, how this season of the ups and downs, right? The roller coaster, the season. But you know what? That roller coaster, I think, maybe makes that win even more gratifying, right? Because, if we lose this, we're 7-5. It just doesn't feel right, blah, blah, that whole narrative. But, you keep the in-state dominance over Northwestern. Illinois with Bret Bielema is 4-1. They've got control of the rivalry with them, I think, pretty fair.
Yeah, we were at the failed 2-point conversion play sitting together.
Yeah, they could easily have been 5-0. Yeah,
right.
Yep. So, got that going. I think, if you look at their rivalry matchups with Purdue and Northwestern, Illinois definitely in a better place. I think, as you alluded to earlier, Illinois, I think, has surpassed Minnesota for sure. Minnesota's a team that's winning 6 and 7 games every year.
They won 7 games this year.
Yeah.
Right?
So that's about where Fleck has them. Every once in a while, they'll win 8 or 9, but he's usually about 7. So the fact that 8, when Illinois gets to a bowl game with Bielema, 8 wins at least of 3 of the last 4 years. So I think, and what could be possible to do next, Kevin, if Illinois can win their bowl game? 9 wins for the first time in 120 years.
Yeah, right. Back-to-back 9-win seasons. Yeah, and obviously they play 12 games. They play more games and they get a 13th with a ball game. But still, it's what we've asked for is, hey, listen, we've got 3 of the last 4 years. We're winning conference records above 500 in conference play. Like that just hasn't happened since the late 80s, early 90s. And that's a great place to be. Like we're above 500 team in conference. Like even in those years, like the Zook years when we went to back-to-back bowl games there, like, we had losing conference records. I think the one year we were 2-6 in conference play. We're 6-6 overall with 2-6 in conference. I mean, that's just
it was like, and we're beating the Western Kentuckys and stuff to get the 4 wins, right? Middle Tennessee State, right? Missed a field goal.
Right.
It's like, yeah. So this definitely feels different. I think the fact that Illinois was ranked for majority of the season, right? Yeah. And into the second to last week of the year, they're in the CFP rankings. Mm-hmm. Illinois is relevant. They had some huge wins this year. The fact that Illinois beat USC the way they did was a memorable win. I think.
Yeah, they went 7-2 in conference. That was a 7-2 team, and there's a 9-3 team overall, 7-2 in conference. We beat them, and we should have beaten by more. Right? Yeah. We all know that. We had one horrible fumble call and another fumble when we were getting ready to score a touchdown. So it's like,
and Illinois goes to Durham and beats Duke, who's playing for a ACC title, Kev. And I'm just saying, I think
how's the tiebreakers working that one that Georgia Tech doesn't get in? Is beyond me, but whatever, man. Because Georgia Tech beat Duke, but whatever. So
yeah. So, but the fact is that goes to show you, if Illinois was in the ACC, I feel like they'd be probably one of the top 2 teams with Miami, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you can't do that, though. We're not in the ACC. We're in
you can't, but you can say that's where the program is. I mean,
right. We can say if the program didn't have a shit week, we'd be 9-3. Like they laid it. I mean, listen, winning at Washington was going to be really difficult. I don't think beating Indiana or Ohio State was feasible, right?
You saw, and Oregon didn't have a cakewalk against Washington. So
no, they could have kept it closer for my bankroll, but that's all right.
Yeah. But yeah, you're correct.
It's literally beat Wisconsin. You're 9-3. You're 6-3 in conference. You're in the top 25.
Yeah.
You're
No,
in the
they're in the
college
top
football race.
15. They're in the top
Right.
15, Kev, probably.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that loss hurt. But in
Yeah.
the grand scheme of things, that doesn't mean a whole lot, right?
Yeah. I think, to be honest, Illinois wasn't going to play in the Citrus Bowl regardless. I think it was Michigan the whole way, even with, unless they would have beaten Ohio State.
Right. I
So,
think if we'd have beat Wisconsin, that we'd be locked into the ReliaQuest.
and right now it's just a toss up. It seems like, and we're going to get into that. But
Yeah.
let's delve into this, finishing up with the season, and we'll do our champagne toast. But I think, to me, successful season, Kevin. I said, the over under for Illinois was 7.5, right?
Yeah, and you went on our guys' podcast and talked about it, and you said the floor was 8-4, and here we are. And granted, we don't want to hit a floor season, but it's an 8-4 year, and it's 8 wins.
Yeah, 8. But I want everybody to know too. When I said that, I wasn't saying that the floor was meaning that the season was going to be shit. I just felt like if you looked at the talent the teams got, and you looked up the games they had, to me, that I just couldn't see where they were going to lose more than 4 games.
Right, and the whole thing of going against us coming into the season was we were 5-1 in one-score games last year, right?
Yeah.
Well, this year we played in essence 2 one-score games, and we were 2-0 in those. Now, granted, we talked about USC already. I don't think anybody felt like that Northwestern game was a one-score game, but I mean, it ends up being a one-score game. I mean, we pretty much dominated that game. We just didn't do it on the scoreboard. So it wasn't one of those ones where we had to pull a rabbit out of our ass. It wasn't one of these guys, the Chicago Bears. I'm pointing my hat here. Who?
How long do you think that magic lasts?
Well, it didn't need any magic when they punched Philadelphia in the freaking mouth.
That's
so,
true.
Like,
but you know what? Do it against Green Bay, and I'm a believer. I can tell you that.
I'm just telling you that run game is a real thing. Speaking of the run game was not a real thing in the second half. That was atrocious. So there were just a couple of things coming into the season that we didn't perform like you and I thought we would perform. The offensive line was much worse than we expected. All year long, we had glitches up front where I was really frustrated, and that included pass protection. Pass protection post Indiana got a lot better, but the run game was still never consistent. Like who led the team in rushing, and did we even have 500 yards?
Yeah, you know why though? When you're playing 3 guys like different series, and there's no rhyme or reason either, Kev, to like who's hot that day, right?
Yeah,
like
Khalil Valentine led the team in rushing at 549 yards. So,
there were games where Lofrey was hot and he gets pulled for the next 3 series.
Yeah,
so that's where I just don't understand that. But
hey, do you know the longest run of the season?
Probably from Luke Altmaier.
It was Aiden Lofrey, 57 yards against Western
Illinois.
Yep. The next longest run from a running back was 26 yards from Fagan. Like Luke had a 36-yard run. Beatty had a 25-yard run. Valentine had a 25-yard run. So, I mean, if you take away Luke's sacks, Luke would have led the team in rushing.
Yes.
Maybe possible. So it was just one of those things where the offensive line let us down, and then obviously we know that the defense let us down. And it was so frustrating because we saw glimpses of what a better defense could be against Maryland, against Rutgers, against Northwestern. That defense looked really good. And in those 3 games, we allowed 32 points, right? That's a defense you can go out and win games on. The challenge was at the end of the season, Wisconsin, the offense got a D and an F, and so did the defense. And so that was one that just got away from it.
And the last 3 weeks of the year, what the offense didn't do very much, didn't look very good. Even against Maryland, it just kind of left a lot to be desired, left a lot of meat on the bone, those big time drops on 3rd down. And, you drive all the way down on the field and you get stuffed on the goal line, 4 plays on the 1-yard line. There was just, the offense after that just got even worse. Obviously Wisconsin has a good defense, so I can't take that away. Northwestern's defense, not terrible.
No, it's pretty solid, yeah.
And I get the conditions too weren't favorable per se, but the offense just did not look right the last 3 weeks. And I really wonder, how that affects Coach Lunny and his future at Illinois, because I think it's important to discuss. I think it's very possible too, that Coach Barry Lunny isn't back next year for different reasons. And
right. And I'll stand on this. There was a question earlier, Ryan. Like, I think that Illinois will do what it can to keep Barry as the offensive coordinator, give him a raise. I think he does a really good job. I think we scheme some things up really well.
Yeah.
I don't think we have a necessarily fast wide receivers that really get a ton of separation game. Mm-hmm. And I would like him to come back. I would like to see Barry back.
Definitely.
Now, if Barry does come back and everybody's like, are we going to have changes at the coordinator position? I think that there's more likelihood of possible change at the defensive coordinator position, which would break my heart personally, if Barry Lundy's retained, because I just don't see why Bret Bielema, who goes into 2026 with absolutely zero pressure from Whitman or anybody above on what's happening with this football program, to make changes at coordinator. He's not under any pressure to do so whatsoever. And why would you do that? Why would you replace two coordinators if you don't have to? And furthermore, Aaron is very involved in the recruiting world. This is our best recruiting class since 2009. So yeah, then you've got some changes, and yeah, maybe it's time for Bart Miller, and then maybe Robbie Disher. And I'm not hating on either one of those guys, but that's probably a more likely change than changing a coordinator if you don't have to.
Yep, and I would say too, what could be possible, Kev, is they do what they tried to do, but David Gibbs. Remember, they hired David Gibbs, and he left because of health issues. They wanted some older guy to kind of help Aaron Henry, kind of mentor him and help, maybe even if with some play calling possibilities. Yeah. They could hire a co-DC, Kev.
Yeah,
an older guy. But I will say this. I'm in agreement with the Bart Miller thing, and it's no personal vendetta. I just think that if this isn't Bret Bielema ball, you know what I mean? Like, this is totally – so how he's won at Illinois is not typical how he has won, and that's a lot to do offensively with Barry Lundy. And you think of the high-scoring, high-octane – passing attack with an okay running attack, and sometimes just a weak running attack. You know what I mean? So the offensive line just hasn't been consistent enough. I think everybody agrees with that. And to me, if you look at it, you have all those guys back. And while maybe we overhyped them, how good they are, I think having a core that's all back that was productive last year, I think there's no way you could sit here and say that the offensive line was was very underwhelming, Yep. And to me, that can't be Bret Bielema, Bret Bielema ball. You can't be like, hey, our offensive line coach preaches be the toughest, nastiest group on the field, and they're not, so something's got to change there. Now, I am happy that they weathered the storm. They did get better in pass protection, as you said. And the last statement about Disher, the special teams, man, the whole punting game is just I don't understand what's going on with it. I think
I think Crimmins was okay.
But like, you can't just boom the ball into the back of the end zone when you're not even giving your guys a chance,
He had two that if we just got possibly better bounces, or in one we could have stopped. But listen, in those conditions, I don't discredit him. He hit one into the south where the wind was blowing. It was a beautiful spiral. I think it was a 40-yard punt. I have no idea how a guy kicks a 40-yard punt into that wind. That was awesome. So I'm not bagging on him, but
minus Alano, the special teams this year. Okay, minus Alano and Hank Beatty.
Right.
The special teams this year just was not normal Bret Bielema special teams.
Hey, we did block a kick. They still made it, though.
Yeah. Yes. The Indiana game wasn't just a one-time thing. There was many times where the special teams unit was either, had issues getting lined up, then not, having too many guys out there, or – you understand what I'm saying. It just wasn't normal. Illinois special teams is an advantage. I can't sit here and say it was this year. So I think those two for sure. Miller and Disher to me are actually way above Aaron Henry. I think Aaron Henry's a guy where if you could bring in a co-DC, I would be totally fine with that.
Well, it's interesting when we say that because you lose Gabe Akis, Dylan Rosiak, James Thompson, Xavier Scott, Miles Scott.
Do we lose Xavier Scott? I don't know.
Maybe. I don't think Matt Bailey goes pro. I don't think he's fast enough. By the way, I came up with a nickname for Matt Bailey.
What's that?
The cashier, because he's going to ring you up. That dude was leveling the boom on some guys.
Yeah, I will tell you what though. That was Northwestern's 4-string running back he's a
tight end. That dude
recruited as a tight end, and he didn't really have an idea what hole to run through. But I can tell you this. He was running through the wrong one when Matt Bailey was there.
That was Rosiak when Rosiak got him.
Rosiak hit him on the goal line, but I'm talking about Matt Bailey lit him up on that after he missed a couple tackles on the first series, maybe a two. He made up for it though in the red zone and put a couple big licks. Jason Ron says, "Isn't Jameson technically?" I don't know if he is or not. I think it
might be. I think it might be in title only. Who knows?
Yeah, but
it hasn't been talked about. I don't know. I don't understand that why it hasn't been talked about. But yes, technically he's the co-defensive coordinator.
But to put the finishing bow on this, what a way to end the season for a guy like Gabe Akis, right? Leading the Big Ten in sacks.
Yeah,
I think it's not always how you start, but it's how you finish. I think that sometimes can be. I think that's first team All Big Ten honors, man. If you're leading the Big Ten in sacks.
Yeah, not only did he lead the Big Ten overall in sacks, he was second in the conference, tied for second in the conference with sacks in conference only games. So he had 7.5 in conference only games. So that's a really good year. He came on strong at the end of the year. What do you have? 4 sacks the last 2 weeks. I mean, like that was awesome. So I was, as pissed off as we were that we didn't get an interception. That's the sack that gave the overall lead. We'll take it, right? So
and I'm going to tell you what though, there was that series right there had. I don't know about you, but
Keystone Cops, man.
Yeah, I was sitting there going, if Northwestern comes down here and scores a touchdown after Illinois had a fumble that 3 guys couldn't land on. And it just rolls right into the arms of the Northwestern player who was already on the ground. And then we get a sack that should have been a pick. And they come down. And I was like, you know what? Ball don't lie, because Illinois got the ball back.
Yeah, it was pretty nuts, though. Yeah, Gabe had 6.5 sacks in November. 6.5 sacks in November. That's
you know what they say, a November to remember. So I would definitely say that this year, I would say that this year was a successful season, as we've mentioned. Illinois won 3 of their final 4 games. I think sure could have won 4, but Illinois trended in the right direction, and as Bret Bielema teams have been doing, which is good to see. And now, before we get to actually, you know what? Before we get a little bowl chat real quick, let's do our champagne toast, Kevin. I think defensively, we'll start defensively because offensively, don't know. There's only 1 or 2 options here, but tons of people to pick defensively, Kevin. And I don't care if you take some low-hanging fruit here because some guys definitely deserve it. I'll let you start here for your defensive champagne toast.
I'm going to go to Miles Scott.
Yeah.
No, Chris Proctor, Simeon Rice did it in 4 seasons, 44.5, by the way. He played all 4 years at Illinois. Miles Scott with 3 interceptions in the last few weeks. The guy, he just embodies what this program's about. Not walk-on wide receiver, came back and I was just really happy for him. And like somebody said earlier, he almost had 3 interceptions in 5 minutes. Guy was he just made critical plays when we needed him to. And so Miles Scott's a guy that I think the world of, and I'm very happy for him. So champagne toast to Miles Scott.
I think when you look around too, I'm going to sit here and say that for he had such a up and down career of injuries. And let me tell you what, he weathered those. And anytime he was in there, he may not have been the fastest of foot, Kev, but he sure really had a hell of a senior year when he played. Guess what? Also, how many walk-off sacks can a guy have in a career? I'm going to give it to Dylan Rosiak because he had a huge stick too on the goal line that helped
play the game.
Yeah, the momentum. He had several of those in his career. You know, the walk-off against Purdue last year, the walk-off against Nebraska last year. Yeah. He had a big-time interception against USC earlier in the year. Dylan Rosiak
didn't play healthy all year either.
Yeah, and you could just tell Bret Bielema loves that guy. Yeah. Tampa, Florida kid, talked about how awesome it was to have play in the snow. He hadn't seen that much snow in his life, obviously, from Tampa, and he got to be a big part of his senior day win. I think the team would be a lot better if it had a lot more guys like Dylan Rosiak. So I'm going to miss him. He's got one more game in him, but he definitely deserves a champagne toast from the defensive side of the ball. Special teams, let's just go ahead and do it. Let's give it to
David Alano.
David Alano, imagine that, right? And then offense, I'll start out, Kev. So it was good to see him get back in the end zone. I think he's got a bright future if he stays all 4 years. I think he could be an NFL back. But Khalil Valentine got into the end zone again. Had a nice, cut. He cut it outside after he saw everything inside. I think it was an inside draw or whatever, but he cut it to the outside and scored a touchdown there. It's always good to see him when you could tell he's feeling right when he's not just running straight up the gut, and there's nothing there. So definitely give it to Khalil Valentine.
Yeah, I like that one. Mine's going to be a little weird just because he's kind of an unsung hero on this team and he just does all the dirty work and doesn't really get a lot of the appreciation. I'm going to go Tanner Arkin.
Okay.
You could go Luke every game. By the way, what a run Luke had. He's shaking people out of their socks.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
But I think Luke would even say it wasn't his best game, a couple fumbles. And I mean, you could put Hank Beatty up there, but Tanner Arkin, I think the guy's done the dirty work for the entire time. And I'll just say I'll give a champagne toast to every senior. Just appreciate him. But Tanner Arkin gets mine today. So
and I think, Colin Dixon, honorable mention.
For sure. Yeah.
He had that huge catch in the first or second play of the game.
Yep.
He had a big time first down catch, I think, in the second half.
Yeah. Big. Yep.
Yeah, that was heading towards the student section.
Hey, and Luke did body him up on that ball. He threw what they call the body ball, but that ball also, like the wind grabbed that ball in the air. Like the velocity of it just decreased so significantly. It would have been a touchdown had it not been the wind just swirling in their face. So.
And I'm going to give Kev a champagne toast because he didn't have to listen to Mark Helfrich call the game.
Oh, yeah, I watched it.
Because I'm going to be honest, I could barely hear the game. I was like, what? Who has it?
He's
it was
terrible.
like, that's a touchdown for Illinois. It was Khalil Valentine.
Rosie was a good stick there. Like, dude, he's the anti-Gus Johnson.
Yeah. Oh, man. So, and you know what? Hank Beatty should just get a lifetime career champagne toast, all right? Because
all the seniors.
Yes.
Let's just do for all the seniors.
All the seniors, all of them.
Yep.
And let me just say this, that for the senior class, how are they going out? With the most wins in their junior back-to-back seasons, junior and senior year, and what the history of the program, 18 wins in 2 years.
Yep. And then, tied for the most, and then most wins at Memorial Stadium over a 2-year period. So, yeah, it's awesome. 12 wins in 2 years.
12-2 at Memorial Stadium, folks.
Yeah.
I mean, just so many things, and we've talked about it. Like,
can we get that Minnesota game back?
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. And the fact that it was still winnable at the end.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Anyway, so let's just go ahead and talk about this for a minute. I think it's, because it's might not be able to go, Kev, but just some maybe little travel plans for New Year. It looks like I don't care what Athlon Sports or Sports Illustrated, some of these ones that aren't even relevant anymore, in my opinion. So I know ESPN, CBS. I care about what Brett McMurphy says. He's pretty on it. I think Illinois looks like the Music City Bowl, to me, I think has the highest chance Illinois to go to there. But then there's a possibility of the ReliaQuest back again in Tampa. And people just assume because Iowa has a better conference record than Illinois that the ReliaQuest will pick them and they travel well. But to me, I think, they want to have a good game. And I don't know if I think some of these bowls don't really buy into Iowa, especially with the lack of offense and, some of these teams they're playing. And ReliaQuest, I think, enjoyed Illinois when they came a few seasons ago. So Bret Bielema also, I feel, has a little bit of pull with these Bulls because, he's got good relationships with them. I think if Illinois would have won 9 games this year, the Citrus would have been a real possibility if Michigan had won. But so the ReliaQuest or Music City Bowl, I'm personally cool with either. Illinois hasn't been to the Music City Bowl, I don't think, ever. Maybe it's been a long, long time if they have, but I know they haven't in my 37 years. I think they went to a Liberty Bowl, right, in 94.
Yeah, I think that was East Carolina, the 30-0.
Yeah, where they kicked Jeff Blake's ass, right? But they've Music City Bowl will be against a good SEC team. Maybe not. It could be LSU, which would be fun. But I'm also looking at it, Kev, like I want a winnable game. I think LSU is a winnable game. I think because offensively they don't do anything. Defensively would be tough. LSU's got a really good D, but you also think, Kev, how many of those guys are going to the NFL, right?
Right, for sure.
And there's going to be a bunch of guys on that LSU D that are not going to play in the Music City Bowl. If Illinois plays in the ReliaQuest against Vanderbilt, I think Diego Pavia would probably play.
Yeah, I'm hearing ReliaQuest, Music City, or Vegas, and ESPN has Vegas and ReliaQuest.
Yeah.
So I think the Vegas Bowl was Utah and ReliaQuest was Vandy. So we'll obviously see what the College Football Playoff Committee does Sunday night, and we'll know where we're at. But either way, dude, we're going to a December 31st, December 30th bowl game, which is great. So.
Yep, all those.
I'd love to play Missouri too. I haven't seen any projections there. You guys have to understand something as well when you think about where Illinois gets slotted in these bowl games is that USC is still slotted and Washington are still slotted into Pac-12 bowl games. So they're not going to get slotted into some of these spots that'll help us possibly get down to sunny Tampa, which would be ideal for me in that I might be able to convince my wife to
I was going to say, because you said you didn't think you were going to the bowl. If it is in Tampa, is that the one where you think?
We're going to be in New York to see her family for Christmas, so we just have to cut the trip a little short and jump on a plane. So who knows?
Yeah, hey, I get it. So
and Nathan Durst, Luke might not play in a bowl game. I don't think Gabe Backus is going to play. I don't think there's any chance. But other than that, I think that'd be the only guys we have opt out.
Well, the question would be, I think if Luke gets the go ahead, knowing like. I don't think he's going to be a for sure draft quarterback. So I think it's possible he's a 6th, 7th round draft pick. But to me, a guy who, he's going to play in the East-West Shrine Bowl. I get that. He probably gets a Senior Bowl invite.
He's a guy that I think he's the opposite of Matt Bailey a little bit, is that like Luke, the challenge with Luke is he doesn't look the part. He's not very big. He doesn't look like he's got a cannon of an arm. He's got a good arm. Where Matt Bailey very much looks the physical size part. I think that if Luke goes to a combine, I think he'll run a 4.6 40. I think Matt Bailey would run pushing a 4.7, which would not be make him draftable. I hear all these things about Matt Bailey getting drafted. I don't see it.
Is it just me, Kev, or do you think? I think Matt Bailey put too much muscle on. To be honest with you, do you remember his freshman year? He was just not. He was like nimble. He looked supremely more athletic. I think.
Yeah, I think he could move into. I think if he wants to play in the NFL, he needs to play linebacker.
Yeah.
He might be like a 4.65 40 guy, and I think that you could play linebacker in the NFL at 4.65. So, Brandon B. I don't think Aaron Henry is going to get fired as much as Illinois fans want it to happen. I don't think that Bret. I said it before at the beginning of the show. Bret doesn't have pressure on him to change coordinators, and he's integral to bringing in one of the top recruiting classes that we've had. I don't see it. I just don't see it happening. So. Yeah, I think Aaron Henry will participate in the bowl game.
He did say what about staff changes? Do you think there is going to be some? You think somebody's going to go?
I think the leading candidate would be Bart Miller.
Yeah. Yep.
But listen, Bret doesn't have to.
No.
He's got to look at his program and decides. And if he makes that decide, we'll support him in whatever he does. So.
And here's the thing: does Xavier Scott play? I think they've been saying I think he does want to play in the bowl game. He hasn't got to play all year, and it won't hurt his eligibility if he does decide to come back. Plus, if he wants to, let's say he wants to get drafted or play, this is a good showcase to say I'm healthy, right? I can go out here and play against an LSU or a Vanderbilt. I can make plays, man. Like he's not getting invited to any of these senior things because he got hurt.
Right.
So what's the best way to do it? Oh, let me run at a combine. Let me get out here and play and show you guys I can still do some stuff. Yep. Bailey's shoulder. Bailey's been dealing with that shoulder since I remember the Penn State game 3 years ago at home. Remember Bret Bielema said that how vital he is to the team. He's important.
Huge, yeah.
He hasn't ever been right since that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what's going on with the bowl stakes. And let's delve in here and move to basketball, Kev. Real quick, your thoughts on the UConn game. I'm really glad I had to work, so I didn't really get to watch it. I would have been really frustrated had I been sitting and watching it live. Just the fact that, more Kylin Boswell was all the offense for the most part. Tomislav did finally show up in the second half, but guys just can't make shots. And this isn't the first game this has been a problem. This is becoming, I'm not going to call it the trend yet, but when you have multiple 2-3 games where you can't shoot the ball, we're like, well, we have a great shooting team. It's like there are guys that have good percentages, but they're not shooting good right now. You're taking UConn in Madison Square Garden.
UConn made several tough shots, especially in the first half. Several tough shots. I was trying to go through my head. I don't think we made a tough shot the entire game.
Or an open one.
We went 9 for 22 at the rim. Everybody's bitching about the 3-point shooting. We took less than 33s, which is probably about average, right? How many of those threes did we look at and go, that's a bad look? We just didn't make shots. The one thing I was really encouraged by in the second half was the defense. Listen, I don't think you're ever going to see a game where Andrej Stojakovic plays that bad again. And I think Brad got in his ass. He didn't play late. I don't understand why Jake Davis was playing late.
If he fouls any more 3-point shooters, I'm just saying. I know it wasn't even a foul. It was a shot clock violation, all that. And that, by the way, all that couldn't have went any worse for Illinois, right?
No, it couldn't. Why does it take 6.5 minutes to review that? It was just nonsense. I don't think we win the game, but good Lord, a 4-point play when it should be our ball. It should be our ball down 7. That hurt
Illinois too with the margin of loss. It could have easily been a 5 to 9 point loss, which helps with the net, and it ended up being 13.
Yeah, and we didn't rebound very well. I just don't think we were very tough in this game. I'd prefer if we don't play Madison Square Garden again. Let's be all right. So, I'm not worried about this team. I think there's pieces, and I think you're seeing guys step up and play well. Tommy had a nice little shot, a little hook shot, little post move. We've been waiting for that because we heard that he added some strength. He looked like a different guy in the second half. And I really think that what we saw in the second half is probably more who he's going to be. I don't know what it was like. I don't know if we were all smoking cigarettes and drinking in New York City on Thursday night. Well,
I went out partying or something, man.
Right. I don't know. But the defensive adjustments that we made in the second half were pretty interesting. It's how we went on that 16-2 run. We junked up the game a little bit from a defensive perspective. So that was a good thing to see. We held them to 31 points in the second half, 32 points in the second half, something like that.
Your take on Merkovic, what do you think he needs to do to settle himself down? Maybe stop just hoisting up any 3 he gets, or
I think he needs to shoot some threes. I think you need to keep defenses honest. I think you just got to slow down a little bit,
he's just on a crazy pace to start the year. I almost think he's putting pressure on himself, right?
Might be feeling himself a little bit. Listen, the 3 best players on this team are Kylin Boswell, Tomislav Ivisic, and Andrej Stojakovic. He needs to be a role player. He needs to just go in there and get rebounds, get putbacks, get tips, things like that. That's where he needs to play. The thing that we're seeing now is in our 3 biggest games of the year against our top opponents, Kylin Boswell scored 22 points in every single one of those games. Kylin Boswell is asserting himself as an All-American. Don't you agree?
Yeah.
Love you.
Hi.
Don't go to Oklahoma. Remember that. And then I think we've seen Big Z is a shot blocking threat, a big presence.
He is. And I thought, like they like they balanced themselves out. Z was pretty good in the first half and pretty bad in the second half. And Tommy was pretty bad in the first half and pretty good in the second half. I think Tommy had like 9 points and 9 rebounds in the second half. So, one of the things I'd like to see, and I'd like to ask LaTulip about this, or guys who know more about basketball than I do. We're running a lot of high pick and roll for like Boswell or Petrovic or anybody who's running the point guard with Murkovic. And I think it's because of his size. Last year, we ran that high pick and roll with Tommy. And what it did is it freed up Tommy to get those open looks at the top for the 3-point line. It also allowed him to facilitate and pass. We haven't seen the facilitation from Tommy yet this year very much, and I'd like to see more of that. I think that's when this offense really goes. I do think we are going to play much better against Tennessee. I understand what people are saying, like we're not very quick, we're not very athletic. And we have guys who are specialists who are on this team who aren't doing what they're supposed to do specialty-wise. Jake Davis is not shoot. He missed a couple open threes. Ben's missing open threes. Like, that's your role. That's your job. You got to knock those down, man. You just got to be tough and knock those down, because then you see another guy like Brandon Lee who came in the second half and frankly gave Solo Ball everything he wanted. And he is that Andres Feliz type of player. He was a prolific scorer in high school.
He's going to get minutes though. Playing.
I cannot wait to see the basketball player that he becomes. I think the moment Madison Square Garden was a little big for some of the guys. And then you see the flashes with Mihalo. Like, he's really quick. He's really good, but he's loose with the ball and missing shots at the rim, but he can really generate some ball movement. They just haven't practiced very much. They haven't played very much. I'm not worried.
And that is another thing too. But Mihalo finds open guys. Let's just keep it real. No matter what, he's going to find them, and you just got to make them. And I think too, this was the biggest moment, the biggest game of Halo's career too, at Madison Square Garden. Like, he may be 22, but like he ain't played in anything like that before. So Mihalo was giving everyone open shots. Like, I was like, I'm looking at the play-by-play on like online on whatever. It's like open 3-pointer, Stojakovic, brick. It's like open Humrick house, missed shot. And I'm just thinking, like, oh my gosh, man. Like, somebody buy a 3-pointer or something. But yeah, so as we preview Tennessee here, though, interesting players era. They beat up a really bad Rutgers team. They surprise and beat a good Houston team. I don't think Houston's a top 3 team, personally. I've watched them play a bunch this year. They easily could have lost to Syracuse. And then they turned around and lost to a Kansas team that I'm not a huge believer in. And that was a game that they were controlling for a good chunk of it, and Kansas came back and got them. Right. I think this game in Nashville is a game
without Darren Peterson. I mean, I don't. Yeah.
I think this is a game Illinois can win, and I'm gonna be honest. I think they should win it. I think they got Jacoby Gillespie, who gave Illinois fits last year at Maryland. Okay, so he's one of their. He's going to have the ball in his hands a lot. And obviously they have Ament, who's a really tough he's going to be a top 10 draft pick. He's long. He's got Kevin Durant-like game. He isn't Kevin Durant, but he's 6'9", 6'10". He's agile. He can shoot it. Kind of Will Riley-ish. So, but this is a game I think Illinois can win. I think they still have Okpara, right?
Yep.
Ohio State is one of their big men. The last year's team, to me, better than this year's team. And they lost some key pieces like Ziegler, and they lost the kid who hit the buzzer beater against us.
Yep.
But anyway, they've got some good players. I still think this is a game Illinois should win. To me, if Illinois wants to be taken serious in March of like to get a top 8 to 10 type seed where they're could be a 2 seed, 3 seed. You got to beat Tennessee.
Yep.
You can't go 1-3 against the toughest teams you play and get anything higher than maybe a 3, but a 4 probably if Illinois takes care of business.
It just depends on what they. I mean, obviously there's tons of opportunities in the Big Ten Conference. Like
but
Michigan, State,
committee's
Purdue.
going to look at. The committee's going to look at how they played against the other good teams at a conference, and so I'm only speaking in terms of if you want to get anything higher than a 3, probably you got to beat Tennessee. They better win or the fan base will be in shambles. Oh yeah, for sure.
I won't be
And Illinois only dropped 1 spot to 14 too.
I'll keep saying this. Like I thought this was going to be the team last year. I said it in the preseason pod. I was wrong. I thought this team would peak toward the end of the year last year. There were a lot of things that contributed to that not happening. Health being the biggest factor in the middle of the season. We're getting hit with all of our injuries at the front end of the season. They haven't ruled what's going to happen with Ty Rodgers yet. I do think like that just gives me some hope that maybe he can play the back end of the season. I think Illinois will be a much better team the second half of this season than they will be in the front half because they haven't practiced much together. I'm really encouraged by the defensive second half and what was shown there. I don't know if that means more minutes for Brandon Lee and less for whomever because you got enough guys on this team that can make shots. Brandon Lee can make shots too. Like I said, the guy can score. He is a better scorer than Andres Feliz. So like now it might not happen his freshman year. It might happen down the road. I'm not worried. If they lose to Tennessee, I will not be worried. Now, if they lose to Missouri, I will be worried. Like, well, I'll just be irate, but that's a different story. So it's I think Illinois probably will win this game though. I think that you get a full week. We got 5 games in 35 days. So we played 1 game about a week coming up here. It's the best thing for this team.
I'm excited though too because
needs lots of practice time.
You get to go at Ohio State, who's going to be a good team. It's probably going to be a net quad 1 win if you can go and beat them in Columbus. I know they just lost a heartbreaker at Pitt on a buzzer beater. Yeah. So I was hoping that they would be undefeated going into this game. And then you get a red-hot Nebraska team that's undefeated. Everybody's talking them up. They're going to come to Champaign. So Illinois is going to get a chance to show the people if they're contenders, pretenders, and these other teams like Nebraska and Ohio State are going to get to see how good they are. Like, are you legit? Because if Illinois can come in there and beat, Ohio State by 10 plus, I think Illinois is showing, they are at a different level and they deserve to be a top 15, top 10 type team. Rink Mast is back from Nebraska. So there's a lot of interesting things going on there with Nebraska. Fred Hoiberg. So I'm looking forward to that one. Again, no cupcakes really. There's not many in December.
No. And on Saturday, you can also watch, you get a little preview of who Ohio State is. They play Northwestern at 1. So it'll be on BTN. They're pretty good. I mean, they just lose to Pitt. I don't know who Pitt is this year, but it
was a tough. Okay, yeah, Pitt beat them on a buzzer beater 3 from like 25 feet. But still, Pitt probably not a great team this year. I think they were like 4-3. But
yeah, they lost to Quinnipiac, UCF, and West Virginia. So
Ohio State's got Bruce Thornton. He's tough. They've got a kid that we recruited, Tilly from Santa Clara, Christoph Tilly.
Yeah.
And they've got a guy who always plays good against us. If we all remember, we recruited him, Devin Royal.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Devin Royal's a baller. He's a stud. So they've got some good players. I don't think they have a lot of depth though. And I think Illinois, we'll preview it when it comes to it. But the huge game again for Illinois to insert themselves as a legit top 10 team. You got to take care of Tennessee. I think. They're just going to, keep moving up the rankings if they lose that one. And while I think they're going to have a good Big Ten season, for Illinois to have the best possible scenario seed-wise, you got to take care of Tennessee. I think 2-2 heading into Missouri for your top 5 out-of-conference games is important because Missouri is going to be a quad 1 win play game as well. Right. They look like they're a decent team. I'm not going to say they're great, but I think they're decent. So.
Yeah, and here's the thing that Gillespie really makes that team go right now. Tennessee. I mean, Ament is a difference maker. I'm not sure really who we throw at Ament to guard him. I wouldn't be surprised if you see some Boswell on him at times. So,
oh yeah. Oh, you one of the Z's will be on. I'm sure Big Z will give him a little bit of time.
I don't think so because he's too quick. He's too much of a perimeter player. You're gonna put Z on Akpara. I would not be surprised. Or they got a big 6'8" kid.
Or Stojakovic. Stojakovic can stay in front of him.
Stojakovic might do kind of the inverse of what we did against Texas Tech a little bit early on and throw Kylin on a mint and Stojakovic on Gillespie and see what happens. Dude, Brandon Lamp said it. Dude, they got a full week of practice. It's huge. This team would be healthy, so like we'll be fine.
What do you make of Ty coming back? Brings more chemistry issues. This is what we go through now.
I would be concerned if it wasn't a fourth-year guy in the program who knows exactly what his role would be on this team. Like Ty Rodgers would know, like his job would be a defensive demon,
rebound the ball,
rebound, put back, work on a smaller defender and get him around the rim and be a cutter. And I think that he's probably a voice. Like I was thinking about, he was the only guy that played against UConn a couple of years ago that's still on the roster, I think. And I imagine that he was probably trying to get those guys hyped up. So I don't think it's his biggest concern. I understand the concern. Because it's Ty Rodgers, the type of guy he is. He doesn't command 10 shots a game. He doesn't care. Like he'll go out there and just doggedly rebound the ball and play defense and get some rebound putbacks and stuff like that. So
now that is
and Brandon says it. Ty Rodgers' role, dog. Well, the team is lacking some dogs. Merkovich certainly has it on the glass. Kylin Boswell is a dog. Brandon Lee's a dog. Yeah. Right. So we could use another dog. Like Tommy's got a little dog in him. We need to see it. So
yeah, exactly. We need to bring him back. Luke Goody pushing him around a little bit to get him fired up. Look, I think the redhead did it on purpose. He's like, come on, man, lighten up, man. So final thoughts here. I'll start. I think, just try to enjoy these moments of where Illinois football is, because it's been a long time. And, I know you've dealt with it longer than me, Kev, but just winning and being successful and being relevant and selling out tickets. I feel like the Illinois 2026 class, I think while Bret talks how good it's going to be, I think, saying 2 or 3, maybe even 4 freshmen are going to be day one starters when they get here. I think next year may be a little bit of a step back, maybe, getting to 6 or 7 wins probably with that schedule and just having a lot of young players. But don't doubt where they're going to go with these JUCO players and getting some. They're going to hit the portal hard. I expect them to bring in somebody to compete with Boyd to be the starter next year, an older guy if need be. I'm excited to see what Carson Boyd can be. And then Michael Clayton comes to campus, and then they got Lapati in 2027. So the quarterback situation is going to be fine over the next few years. So I'm just telling everybody now, don't realize that next year may be just a little bit of a step back, but this program is on the right direction. Bret Bielema is the right guy for the job. It's going to be well. It's going to be. I'm not worried about anything. So with the football program, so just keep supporting them and believe in where this process is going to take them, because I think that 8 to 10 wins is going to be a pretty yearly thing. So with that said, I think Illinois is still working on flipping a couple guys here. They've got some JUCO kids. One's committed to FSU, Jalen Anderson. He was on campus this weekend. I've been
safety.
Go ahead. What's
up?
Is
that the safety?
Nope, that's the defensive end.
Okay.
Yeah, Jalen Anderson. They already flipped Jaquan Morris from USC. They're working on Dre Riley from Mississippi State.
That's his teammate.
Yep. And one more 2026 kid, but also the tight end from Oklahoma State, Ford, I think. Yeah, something like that. So they're working on flipping a couple more people here soon. But it looks like J.C. Anderson's going to be following Lane Kiffin to LSU, I believe. So, but for everybody who wants to know, Bret Bielema and J.C. Anderson's dad had been talking over the last couple of weeks. So, the bridge wasn't all the way burnt like some people thought. So
Micah Champ Smith, decision on Wednesday, right?
yes. Yeah. Okay. I was saying flip, but it's not necessarily a flip because he's already decommitted. Sounds like Illinois offered his brother, who is a D2 quarterback.
Yep.
They're thinking smart here. You offer the brother to get Micah Champion Smith. I think it's real possible. I might have a crystal ball in too by that time.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's in alignment with my final thought as well, Ryan. 8 wins for the third year in 4 years, 8 regular season wins, 3 of the last 4 years winning record in conference, 36 wins in the last 5 years. And here's the biggest thing, guys. When you flip the number 1 defensive back in the JUCO ranks from USC, when you get the number
DJ
2
Taylor, the number 1
offensive tackle in the country, was he the number 2 overall JUCO prospect?
Yep.
In this world of NIL, I'll let you guys out there do the math of what world we're playing in right now. It might not be, might not have like Mark Cuban, Eli Lilly money coming in right now, but there's a level of this that we've elevated ourselves that I don't know that Minnesota can keep up with us. I don't know that Iowa can keep up with us from a financial standpoint. I don't think Wisconsin can either with where they're at. The money is drying up with the Luke Fickell stuff. So we're compounding success with extremely wealthy alumni and donors. Illinois is playing at a different level than it ever has before. And I think that's why you're seeing some of this. I think Illinois will be heavily active in the portal at defensive line, potentially some secondary, maybe linebacker. I think you're probably okay at the running back and wide receiver position, depending on if guys transfer or not. And then you have to analyze what we're going to do at the quarterback position. I would love to see Boyd play in a bowl game if Luke's not going to decide to play, and that's fine. But Illinois football is in a really, really good place. And losing non-conference games in basketball is not that big of a deal. So.
No. I'm in agreement there. It's not a huge deal. I think there's one other they were trying to flip. I think they're still working on flipping a couple more guys with JUCO-wise. We'll see. It's going to be interesting here. Illinois is not done yet. I think stay tuned for another 48 hours, I think, for Wednesday signing day. Definitely going to be interesting. So, we appreciate everybody chatting. Subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already. We appreciate you. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, leave a review. We appreciate that as well. So with that said, have a great week. Next thing, maybe Fade the Deuce Wednesday night, Kev?
Yeah, hopefully I got to talk to Matt about it, but it should be okay. The last 2 weeks is just travel and
and even family time, dude. If you need it, it's all good. So, Oh, yeah, the West Virginia decommit. That's right, the wide receiver. That's who Illinois is working on. He's in the top 3. Illinois is in the top 3 with him. So,
Mississippi kid as well, right? 6'4".
Yeah, big kid.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right, with that said, we'll talk to you later. Swami out.
ILL.
I and I. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom.
Brian and Kevin, they're spitting the truth. Keeping it real, keeping it orange and blue. Talk that. Urgent like, Brian and Kevin, they're spitting the truth. Keeping it real, keeping it orange and blue. Talking recruit, who's next in line? Line our pride, it's about that time. Orange and blue, yeah, that's how we do. Post-game vibes, breaking it through. Ryan and Kevin, the crew that you knew. Keeping it fresh, keeping it orange and blue. From the court to the field, every play, every step. Debating the cause where the game is at. Who's rising, who's falling, who's making the cut. Line 9 for life, never stuck in the rut. Okay, recruiting buzzer got the inside line. Post-game chatter, they're always on time. Breaking it down, they're the voices you trust. Orange and blue, yeah, they repping for us. Orange and blue, yeah, that's how we do. Post-game vibes, breaking it through. Ryan and Kevin, the crew that you knew. Keeping it fresh, keeping it orange and blue, yeah. So So tune in, lean back, let the wisdom flow. Ryan and Kevin with the knowledge they throw. Lion Eye Nation, this one's for you. Forever proud, keeping it orange and blue. Yeah. Orange and blue.